how it is flawed. You know, we have No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top going on, and that is increasing the curriculum. So what you could learn is now being crammed in the civil rights movie, most history and history high school books. Civil rights is only in one chapter. 2 days you're going to go through the civil rights, and then you're going to go on to the next one. In order to really get this, we have to really slow down. We have to go out of the classroom in order to actually teach this. Because the classroom, unless we change our education system, it's going to be gone.
Are you a student here?
Yes, I'm an education major. That's why it really got me fired up when you guys were talking about this, because I feel a change does need to be made to our education system in order to really teach our children, because it can't go on like this anymore.
Okay, we have about 20 minutes. I'm going to go to the panel, and then I'm going to come back to the audience. So I'm going to get tough on our time now.
This will be brief, because this is something that struck me even as a child. Why is there a civil rights section? Right. Why do we commemorate Pearl Harbor, 9/11? Basically what we do is commemorate all the white history in this country from day one. There should not be a civil rights section. Should not be a Hispanic section. There should not be an Asian section. Our history is all of our history. And the idea that Rosa Parks, 1955, December 1st, isn't stuck in the timeline in that book just by itself. The same way with the Civil War is not just the Civil War. There was more the history that went involved with that involved civil rights. That is the fundamental problem today, not just amongst minorities, but amongst the majority. That's why some of these discussions are happening. This should not be part of some special curriculum. And again, my worry is what you're seeing happen in Texas. Those are the books that are being published that are distributed even here. Your children, when you have some, most likely this will be so washed out, they're not going to understand what happened. And the statue that we're about to build, Mrs. Parks honestly did not like being idolized this way, but she understood why it was needed. Because why should we have a statue of George Washington across the street when our minority heroes are not idolized that way? They need to be, so that children ask that question, who is that? Every child, not just when they're brown, but also when they're white.
Thanks, Mitch. We had one other person from the top.
You're absolutely right, but we can't wait for that. We know the story. We know the stories. We need to tell the stories. I mean, most of the education doesn't happen through the public schools or the private schools. They happen by parents, communities, and so forth, so we need to tell that story. My son knew some of these stories as a preschooler because of the books that were read to him and so forth. I think that's something that we simply need to do, and I commend Mr. Robinson and the committee that brought the Rosa Parks statue here. People will stand in front of that, and a kid will ask, who was she? And an adult, hopefully, with them, if they don't know, will find out. And I think that's part of that's the importance of having that statue there. It's our history, and I think then it prompts us to know it and to speak it.
Just finish 1 minute my comment about the cemetery and the Caucasian clause. You say, how does this affect us? In Detroit, they had lowered the casket. They find out this person is a Native American. They brought the casket out again. You think this is the end of the story? I've traveled to Latin America, and for years, I would say even today, any newspaper is still affiliated with the Communist Party. They had that story all the time. Now, how do you think we are looked at? That somebody's publishing and publicizing that side of our nation. So that's why I wanted to give you that story on that. We need to be involved. We need to stop being spectators. We need to do what we're doing right now. And I think at any meeting, if we can invite a youngster or two and bring them along with it, and tell them there's going to be ice cream, there's going to be baseball tickets, whatever. This is a way they'll participate. They're not going to listen when somebody's going to be preaching. And even here, for example, we're discussing, we're knowing each other. Thank you.
I have just a thing to say. One of the things that's always bothered me about Grand Rapids is that we do have so many churches, and there's not a lot of teaching going on about civil rights in those white churches. And I think that would be very helpful if, in fact, all of us engaged in education and taught our young children in our white churches what civil rights is all about.
Thank you. All right. Yes, I see her. I've had my eye on you for a while. Don't want you to think I wasn't. Yeah, you young lady in the green. So I guess. All right, we're gonna hear these three audience members, and then we're gonna engage because I want to hear what our young people have to say.
Um, the gentleman over here, I see what you're saying about the education. Also, the gentleman over there about the education system. It's like they're censoring everything about history. I know some. Let's see. About a couple weeks ago, my aunt gave me a list of books that are banned from school. Like all the important ones, like To Kill a Mockingbird, Scarlet, just to name a few. It's like they're telling kids not to think this didn't happen, or just turning things around, trying to come out. I think to me that's wrong. I'll admit, they brought me to tears, so I didn't really care for them. But still, they're part of our history. They have to stay. That's about it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a young person. I graduated from high school 2 years ago. And I don't think it's like that they don't teach it. It's annoying the way that they do. It's like they teach everything like, well, who went through more? And it's like a fight. And instead, we want to be one, so why don't we just teach it as one? That's what I get annoyed with. I don't like it when people are like, well, I'm African American. I went through more. I'm Mexican. I went through more. I just want to learn, why can't we just be one and learn one history because we are one nation? I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess while we're thinking about the education thing, I forget who I heard said this. Is probably a comedian of some kind, but I went to the same high school, and our books in there are so old that the civil rights movement is probably still, viewed as trouble brewing ahead. The there's, and I'm with you, Ms. Francesco, about the idea that there needs to be something more outside of education. I don't know about you, but it seems like so many people now, it's not only that we've walked away from the idea of civil rights, but are almost going backwards, because socially it is now popular to be what's the right word I'm looking for? But to be absent from anybody else that's not like you. The music scene, clothes, everything down to internet, social networking. Everything is bringing people to just the people that have done the things that you do, or go the place that you are the same race as you. And I don't know what your guys' suggestions would be, but it's almost like it's just becoming more popular to be completely separate. And I just wouldn't want to see that to continue.
I want to interject right now on that one. Can you hear me?
Okay.
There's a couple things I disagree. I take issue a little bit with saying that we need to step outside the education system. I think, particularly for certain communities, you definitely need civil rights and American history and Mexican history and Korean history, all of that integrated into one. In a more efficient manner. It needs to be taught, and it needs to be taught well. I think that's one place where we can control it, because let's think about it. You're talking about Generation X and the millennial generation. Now, the vast majority of you guys probably haven't received a decent enough education on civil rights to educate your kids about it. So how are you going to provide the supplemental education about these types of issues for the next generation? You know less about it than the baby boomers, and the baby boomers seem to know everything, so we'll see. We'll see if they figure out Social Security. I think that social media I think that we're actually in a time where it is less cool to be racist or to racially discriminate. I think that I would disagree with you a little bit on your assertion. I think the music, hip-hop, and the internet has brought things closer together. So being a blatant racist, as I'm calling it today, is not as cool as it was 40 years ago. I mean, you can see, based on the documentary, 40, 50 years ago, being a blatant racist in certain parts of the country, that was the thing to do. So I think that the social media kind of has combated that, has brought the world closer together. And I think that also can be better than ice cream and those types of incentives.